Then we've got Rutter, who incidentally we will see more of in a moment because he's on pole position on the other HM plant Honda. Glenn Richards there on the Hawk Kawasaki. Good each way bet here at Thruxton. Sean Emmett looking fearsome indeed during qualifying, even though he's carrying a small injury forward from Brands Hatch. Carl Harris, I have never seen such tranquility in a team as there is in the Carl Harris Honda Racing.co.uk team, because Carl Harris really is a man that's going about his business in his first year in Superbikes in a very, very, well, shall we say, mature manner. Michael Rudder, Leon Haslam, Sean Emmett and Carl Harris. That's the front row. Ryuichi Kiyanari, after a crash in qualifying, slips to 5th place. Glenn Richards is there. Gregorio Lavia, after a crash in qualifying, finishes in 7th place. Scott Smart also in that 2nd row. Tommy Hill, Dean Thomas, John McGuinness and Kieran Clark. Good result from Kieran Clark there on the Hydrex Honda, that's in 12th place overall, but on that 3rd race, very close time-wise as well. Bearing in mind that this racetrack is a long and fast racetrack, 1.5 seconds here. Well, it sort of equates to about 1/10 of a second at somewhere like the first track that we started off this year, being Brands Hatch. Gary Mason, Steve Plater, James Buckingham and Danny Beaumont are on row 4. There is the pole sitter, Michael Rutter. Very aggressive yesterday, both off the track and on it. He's in no mood to finish second at all at the moment, Neil Mackenzie. I'm seeing a slightly different Michael Rutter here at Thruxton, I feel.
I think he got caught in the back foot with his teammate Ryuichi Kiyanari at Brands. He didn't like that at all. He was expected to be the man that did the winning at Brands, and it was his teammate.
Who's going to make the whole shot? That's Carl Harris, closest to the camera. He gets a good start indeed, but if anything, Rutter just got bogged down very slightly. But is it Sean Emmett come through? No, it's Sean Emmett on the Big Bang Virgin Mobile Yamaha. Well, he will just be looking for that kind of result, won't he? So Emmett has gone through Allard corner now, down towards the complex. Really tricky here. Campbell is the right-hander. Then on to Cobb almost immediately. Difficult left-hand side of the left-hand turns here are real tricky. It's caught out, well, virtually hundreds of riders over the 3 days that we've been here so far. So up through Noble it is. Seagrave and then on to Noble. We're at Noble now.
Tricky fast left-hander in the first lap, left-hand side of the tyre, not very warm. A lot of riders went down there in practice, but certainly the front bunch safely through Noble. Right-hander
of Village, moving through Goodwood onto Village, and then it's the frightening Church Corner where it all counts. We're building to that turn now. Church Corner next up then. Absolutely just trying to get on the gas as early as they can over the bumps. Look at that. I'll tell you what, that Yamaha sits just lovely. Big question here for you, Neil. Dunlop versus Michelin. It's never been more acute than it is. As Carl Harris slots in the 3rd place now. Carl Harris has split the HM plant bikes. And look at Carl Harris round the outside. Does he go round the outside?
He does.
And he goes round the outside of Rutter.
Carl Harris loves Thruxton. Oh. He loves that Honda Fireblade. He loves a bit of power now. It's been long overdue to see Carl Harris on a superbike. He's been flying all week on the Dunlops.
First he did Keogh, then he did Rutter. Now he's in 2nd place and chasing Sean Emmett on the Virgin Mobile Yamaha. Wow, what an upset. Oh, that's one of the Eddie Stobbart team, and that looks like McWilliams. Is it McWilliams? It is Jeremy McWilliams. Didn't quite recognise his, well, that's a chicane shenanigans, isn't it? It looks like he's been tripped at the chicane.
Frustration continues for Paul Bird and the Stobart team and Jeremy McWilliams.
Well, he was from so far back, really. He'd got such a lot of work to do from where McWilliams had qualified, back on the 5th row in 19th place. So McWilliams obviously trying to make up some kind of ground and found him laying on the ground. Emmett, Harris and Rutter, there it goes. Haslam, Smart and Kieran Clark.
Sean Emmett there on the Virgin Yamaha. He's got half a second, which is unheard of really in the opening lap. So we know Sean Emmett is really good at Thruxton. We know he won last year, and we know that Yamaha is working really well, running the Big Bang engine, real smooth power delivery, and looks exceptionally good out of the last corner. Look at these 3 Hondas behind them.
All slipstreaming each other, and through goes Rutter, but straight away Carl Harris has the bike back on the brakes. Is he going to try and cut to the inside? He looks very confident the way he's riding at Carl Harris. Looks like that bike's right with him.
Carl Harris loves Thruxton. He's been the master of super sport races. He got to the front and controlled it from the front. He's always went really well at Thruxton.
Almost ignoring the Hawk Kawasaki of Glenn Richards, who is there in, what, 5th place at the moment. So keep an eye on Glenn Richards. He's being closely followed through by Dean Thomas, his teammate. So Richards and Thomas, I expected it from Glenn Richards, but I've got to say, Dean Thomas, that's a good result if he can really carry that forward. Look at Carl Harris in the middle of the complex there, being ridden all over by Kiyanari, but he don't care because he's blocking the middle of the track. So it is still Emmett that has now been caught by Rutter.
Watching Carl Harris in practice, he was flying, but he was also very hard on his rear tyre. He was one of the Dunlop runners that was moving around a great deal. And watching the two Michelin guys who he sandwiched in between, they were a lot smoother and looked like they were getting a lot more traction. But Sean Emmett out in front there, carrying a serious arm injury still, but at the moment managing to hold his own.
Well, I spoke to Phil Plater from Dunlop just a little bit earlier before we came on air. He said that he'd run the main runners on the race distance and was happy enough with the race tyre. But it's going to be about the Michelins. What have they got here at Thruxton? It's their second year of running, as round the outside of Brooklands comes Kianari, but Harris, well, he's lively on the brakes. And I'll tell you what, that's what tripped up John Reynolds last year when Lavia picked up in the middle there, and Carl Harris almost found himself in a similar position to John Reynolds, but without the pain.
Kianari got a brilliant drive out of Church there. You could see whether it was grip or whether it was corner speed, but really good drive in Carl Harris. That allowed him to slipstream him and slip past them into the chicane. Well,
I'll tell you what, fastest laps are being swapped hand over fist here at the moment. Leon Haslam had it a moment ago on the Airwaves Ducati, and it's now been taken by his teammate Gregorio Lavia. 1 minute 16.292.
Oh, Sean Emmett having a look around. I'm not sure there's any time for that, Sean.
Well, he is actually renowned for that here at Thruxton, isn't he?
Yeah, the chances are when you look round, someone passes you at the next corner, and Michael Rutter's certainly closer.
Well, Rutter is right on his case. Let's take a look and see. I mean, you're the expert for this. See how these tyres are hooking up through these fast points. Really, it is. Well, I'll tell you what, he was quick through that right-hander. He's really dragged down a few yards on Rutter.
He was quick in the first section. On the first section time, all the way through practice, he's been really quick. But what I have noticed, I've studied the lap-by-lap times of all the riders, certainly all the top 10 riders, and the two Michelin guys were the two riders that could go the fastest and do the most consistent lap times on race rubber.
Well, the significance to me is that within 0.3 of a second are the top 7 riders.
And how did Kianari do that?
Me, straight in there.
2 in 1 corner. That was impressive.
But look at the rest. They're all there. So clearly the pace is not the pace that a lot of them want to actually run. Steve Hislop, the late, great Steve Hislop, holds that record here. 1 minute 15.
Kianari, third down the outside into the chicane, past Rutter, alongside Emmett, the long way around as well, and still pulled it back. He galloped him half a second by the exit of the chicane.
He just has such an incredible natural talent, Kianari.
He's just so happy on that bike. That bike, he can do absolutely anything with. You can see him changing lines, fast sections, slow sections. He is in control.
1:16.578 was Kianari's last lap. Lavia still holds the quicker lap, 1:15.699. Kianari, Emmett, Rutter. That's how it looks at the moment, the top 3, but don't expect it to be the same by the time we get to the end of this lap, because certainly Rutter now is looking at Emmett. But I'm watching the Carl Harris number 9 bike with a 75 green Kawasaki of Glenn Richards. Then it's Leon Haslam who split the two Hawk Kawasaki's from the 91 Leon Haslam. And then it's 12 Dean Thomas. Then it's Lavia in 8th place on the 35 bike.
Ryuichi Kianari had a massive practice crash towards the end of qualifying yesterday. He was hobbling around last night. He's got a temporary cast on his leg, but it's not slowing him down one iota.
No, not one iota, that's for sure. And this kind of break he needs early on in this race as well. 37, Danny Beaumont, one of the top Superbike Cup runners this weekend in qualifying, has retired to the pits. Ryder is okay, but for those of you that care about the Superbike Cup, at the moment it's James Buckingham on the Key Motorcycles bike that is in 10th place overall, which is unbelievably superb. And he is also the well and truly leading, Martin Nutt is the second Cup rider, and he's back in 20th place. So James Buckingham at the moment has 10 places advantage over the other Superbike Cup contender, Martin Nutt from Northern Ireland.
I tell you what, Glenn Richards, number 75 here in the Hawk Kawasaki, he's doing a good job. Up to 4th position, he's past Carl Harris and he's chasing Sean Emmett.
Glenn Richards around Thruxton, I remember him before he broke his arm here. I mean, he really did look good before. If you remember on the slow Kawasaki.
750 Kawasaki, he was unbelievable. He was an absolute menace to all the guys with more horsepower. Carl Harris moving around there.
Yeah, you were right about that rear end. Carl Harris really working the rear of that motorcycle at the moment. That was spinning and putting wear on the tyre and heat in the tyre. And Carl Harris will be struggling with that in a lap or two.
Well, it's not a problem for Carl. The only problem is that he will be really hard on the rear tyre. Tyre temperatures are really high here, and Carl's giving them a lot of abuse.
Yeah, going out to the car park.
And his teammate underneath him.
Gregorio Lavia gets through. Then the Airwaves Ducati swap places behind the number 9 by Carl Harris. The red, yellow and white motorcycle is now right under Glenn, and that is a scary corner to do anything on.
There's no runoff there. There's no room for error there.
Not that I'll be thinking about runoff, because they all believe they can stay on it. But look at Gregorio Lavia into the complex. He's going to be up the other side of Carl Harris for sure.
Wow. Not quite close enough. Carl could see him there in his peripheral and just let the brakes off a little bit, just blocking him for another couple of corners.
Lavia, very unlucky indeed on his out lap for his quick qualifying time yesterday, went and dumped it at the chicane. And for those of you who know Thruxton, that is the very last corner on his out lap. So he was just about to wind the wick up and come onto his flying lap and dumped it on the floor and didn't get a quick lap in, and therefore is penalised by starting on the second row of the grid, when we did expect him to be able to bump up onto the front row along with his teammate Leon Haslam.
Scott Smart on the Rooster Suzuki there, bringing up the rear. He didn't make a very good start, but he's hanging on grimly to Dean Thomas there, down in 9th position at the moment. But you know, at Thruxton, anything can happen, and there's no reason why Scott Smart can't make a bit of progress and get a bit closer to the rostrum.
Well, we are, of course, only 1/3 distance at the moment. We're on lap 7 of the 22, and
there
again,
goes Carl.
Look, he just loves this. The front end of that motorcycle, he's got working so well. He's so confident, sticking all the weight on it, isn't he? And rushing in.
Got no problem. You can see him in the early laps round the outside. But look at Gregorio.
Oh, yes.
Glenn Richards has one moment, loses 2 places.
Yeah,
3 places.
3 places, because his teammate Dean Thomas, I think, has gone under him as well now. We're on lap 8. Wow, Carl Harris pretty much caused that, I feel. He got himself in the middle of that turn. And
well, anything goes at the chicane.
Yeah, and that's what chicanes are for.
There goes Gregorio this time. He's made it stick with Carl Harris.
Tell you what.
He's good.
They have got such a dilemma at the moment at the Airwave Ducati team. James Hayden is here, still deemed by the team to be unfit at the moment, and he is, well, he wanted to ride, but he has been passed as unfit, or that's a contradiction in terms. He has been said that he is unfit by the team, so they've allowed Lavia here again, and really it's a dilemma for the team. I've been told by Colin Wright all 3 riders will be retained for the rest of the year.
Wow.
What that quite means is it's slightly complicated, because he didn't tell me they were going to run 3 motorcycles.
Well, I'd like to see where they get another 2 World Championship winning Ducatis.
I think my point is that they are going to retain the 3 riders, but who is actually going to be riding the bikes is still up for discussion at the moment.
Here comes his teammate Pascal.
Yeah, Haslam. Carl Harris, once that tyre's gone for Carl Harris, he can't do anything with it, can he? He can't get onto that straight quick enough.
It doesn't matter how skillful you are, how talented you are. When you've got no grip, you're not going forward.
Well, Lavia still has the fastest lap at the moment. Number 49 has just come down pit lane and retired.
Lavia is closer to Sean Emmett. Sean Emmett still in 3rd position on that R1 Virgin Yamaha. There he goes, he's good into the complex.
Very.
Not quite close enough, because Sean's also pretty handy in there.
It's that run through Allard that I think is scary, that left hand. I mean, that's where a lot of the riders have gone down. They stick it on the left hand side of the on the tyre, and the track here has been so cold over these 3 days that they've got no heat in the left hand side of the tyres, and down they go. And it's fourth coming on 5th gear there, which is not hanging about on a superbike.
It's not hanging about if you go off onto the grass, that's for sure.
Richard Wren, of course, had a fall, and he's out of the race today. If you're looking for the R6 Cup qualifier from last year in the superbike, he's out. Just banged himself on the head, and the medics have said that he must take no further part in the meeting. So Richard Wren is watching the Virgin Mobile team at the moment. He'll be cheering on Emmett in 3rd place, that's for sure. Still Sean Emmett, bike number 5 in 3rd place. Still Kieran Ari leading from Rutter.
There you go. Lavia got a nice drive out of there. A bit of a wobble in the exit of Church, but it was enough to get in Sean Emmett. Slipstream. Here comes Carl Harris round the outside again.
So Emmett goes back 2 places, and Carl Harris really sits on Emmett, but Emmett's not having any of it. He's toughed it right out. So Emmett slips to 4th place. Lavia moves up to 3rd place. That is, again, another remarkable ride. I have to say, you had to give the Bennett's Rider of the Day to Kianari at Brands Hatch, but already I can feel my hand on your arm regarding this ride from Lavia.
Get off.
I know I don't have to persuade you. You're going to pick the right man, but you've got to say at the moment, Lavia coming through from what wasn't a particularly good start off the 2nd row. He's looking a bit of a hero.
He certainly has. He's got past Sean Emmett now. He's on the rostrum if he finishes there, but he hasn't given up chasing Michael Rutter. And look at the gap he's put between himself and Sean Emmett, number 5, just after a few corners.
Not even half distance yet, of course. Of course, again, looking at the tyre situation, Lavia on Dunlops, but of course the Ducati works a tyre completely different from the 4-cylinder motorcycles. And then, of course, we've got the Yamaha, which is a completely different type of 4-cylinder motorcycle. Firing order's been changed completely, and the one that Sean Emmett is on right now delivers the power different to any other Yamaha, apart from another Virgin Mobile one.
Yeah, if you haven't heard these bikes, you're sitting at home and you haven't heard the R1 Yamahas this year, they sound just like Ducatis, and that's the whole reason they're using that big bang configuration engine to deliver the power more smoothly, and it seems like it's working.
James Buckingham on bike 56 still leads the privateers by an absolute mile. He's having a hell of a ride here. James Buckingham, bike 56, if we ever get a chance to see him, it is a superb ride from him. He's on the key garage Suzuki. And
just
really,
look at the riders behind him.
Yeah, indeed. Tommy Hill, Gary Mason, Michael Laverty, Steve Plater, John Reynolds, John McGuinness, just to mention a few.
Ben Wilson there, he's in 17th on the Vivaldi Kawasaki. Much better showing because he really was struggling in practice. So right out there, good to see Ben Wilson. He was way down the leaderboard all the way through practice.
We'll be enjoying our spuds a little bit later, won't we, Spud?
With no butter, because apparently Vivaldi potatoes don't need any butter, so we'll test them out just a little while.
Can't wait. Lap 11 of 22. We're on the halfway stage of this race at the moment. Chianari leads by 7/10 of a second from his teammate on the HM Plant Honda, Michael Rutter, bike number 2. Then it is the Airwaves, the Wrigley's Airwaves Ducati, bike 36, Gregorio Lavia, having fought his way through from something like 10th place in the opening lap from Carl Harris on the HondaRacing.co.uk bike number 9 in 4th place. 5th place is the Virgin Mobile Yamaha of Sean Emmett. 6th place, the 91 bike, that's Haslam. He is the teammate to Gregorio Lavia, of course. Glenn Richards has slipped now on the 75 bike to 7th place. Dean Thomas's teammate is in 8th place. They're the Hawk Kawasaki's. Then it's Scott Smart, the first of the Rizzler Suzuki's, in 9th place. 10th is Kieran Clark on the Hydrex Honda, which I'm real pleased to see Kieran going good as well in 10th place. And then, of course, we've got James Buckingham on the Key Suzuki. That's the best of our privateers in the Superbike Cup Series, but he has, well, in fact, he's just slipped to 11th place now, I think, Buckingham.
Michael Rutter took 2/10 of a second out of Ryuichi Chianari on that last lap, so he's making progress. He's got him fixed as a target. He's chasing him. It's always easier chasing, but Chianari, number 6, doing an incredible job. Only his second time at Thruxton.
Well, we've talked about teammates in the past. We differ very slightly on our viewpoints of them. These two, of course, well, they worked together quite well last year, but that was when Chianari perhaps wasn't quite the threat to the championship as Michael Rutter would view him as right now. Rutter cannot mess about. He will have been disappointed with the fact that it was his teammate Chianari who won both the opening races at Brands Hatch. But here at Thruxton, you have to say, with the form of Chianari from last year, he didn't like it here. Had a torrid time. I think his best result was 8th place. He's come back this year completely revitalised, and at the moment, unless Rutter is going to have an exceptional result, and I have to say my money was on Rutter for here, maybe that's what's done it.
The jinx, the UN jinx. Chianari carrying an injury, it doesn't seem to be affecting him. His lap times are consistent, looks good on the bike, he's throwing that bike around, having no problems whatsoever.
I love that bit out of the chicane. You watch Keogh, he just stands it up and fires it out of there, doesn't he? I mean, it is in a fantastic way. He's got that bike to hook up.
His bike on these mixers looks more stable out of there than Michael Rutter. Michael Rutter gets on the throttle area, seems to be carrying more RPM, and his bike is more unstable and spinning the rear up, but Chianari does look good. He grabbed back 2/10 of a second on that last lap, so Chianari's responding to Michael Rutter's challenge.
Still Lavia, the fastest man out on the track on lap 4, though. Gregorio Lavia on his march to the front. Hopefully, and he'll be hoping this, he hasn't cooked his tyres as far as that march to the front is concerned, but it looks like it's over at the moment. 5.8 seconds he is behind the leader, 5.1 seconds behind Michael Rutter. That's a big deal as far as he's concerned, and the gap between Chianari and Rutter, I don't know if you mentioned this, I feel like a bit of deja vu, he's gone back up to 7/10 of a second.
Yeah. I wouldn't say Gregorio Lavia has cooked his tyres. I would just say these Michelins look like they have more traction, they have more grip. Of course, the HM Plant Honda's working really well. Brilliant winters testing, really up to speed. They are the benchmark for everyone else, but Gregorio, lap times are consistent, but they're not as quick as the two front guys.
But they got away fairly cleanly at the front, and I think Gregorio, even if he has got the best tyres still working, and there's nothing to say that Dunlop aren't as good as Michelin at this point, but the fact of the matter is that these two got away cleanly at the front, and he's had to work the hardest to get up behind them.
Point taken. He was sticking in fast laps in the early part of the race, and that is extra pressure on the tyres.
Chianari and Rutter out front then. Lavia still third. Haslam, his teammate, now fourth. So Leon Haslam, son of Rocket, is there on bike 91. He's in 4th place at the moment, so that's a great result for... Oh, I've got a brace of Stobbard Hondas, or the two that are left out there anyway. 3 is Gary Mason, 33 is Michael Laverty. So the 2 youngsters in the team. Michael Laverty have gone... Oh, who was that out of his seat?
Reynolds at the back of this bunch as well. John Reynolds hanging on in there, and 60's desperately trying to score a few points, but at the moment just one place away from the points.
Steve Plater that was, that had that lit up right in front of John Reynolds. Reynolds will not appreciate that, because the last thing John Reynolds needs is to be grass tracking at somewhere as fast as
He hasn't enjoyed this weekend at all. He says saw a lot of riders going down just because of gusty winds, and at least booked him. It's much more difficult for him here at Thruxton. The fast changes of direction are not good for that broken right leg.
77 has retired to the pits. That's Marty Nutt, another Northern Ireland one, and on the Honda. So Marty Nutt on the 5 Honda, looking good in the Superbike Cup. In fact, he was second in that just a little bit earlier on. He's now retired. So Marty Nutt out of the race. We're watching Reynolds behind Steve Plater. Some famous names in British Superbikes, a long way down the order.
Sean Emmett there.
Sorry?
Sean Emmett there, back in touch with Lavia.
Well,
with Haslam.
Yeah,
so beg your pardon.
Let me go.
Anyways, the Catties looking too alike at the moment.
Yeah, look good though. It's good. Well, welcome back to Darryl Healy and the team. We said it at Brands, but really, GSE and their new title sponsors, Wrigley's Airwaves, are a welcome addition back to the British paddock. Leon Haslam, I can't believe how vastly experienced a 22-year-old is. He really has been there, done that. In a bit of trouble though, with a bit of grip at the rear end, Leon Haslam, by the look at that, as Emmett lines him up.
Yeah, Leon Haslam raced in every class in GP. He's lots of experience, World Superbike last year, but once he stayed in the same bike for a few years, he's on the 999 Ducati as he was last year with the Renegade team, and looking good. Not a brilliant start, but he's making his way through there.
Now, he does look to me like he has done something with his rear tyre, because I don't know whether he's running the same as Gregorio Lavia, but he looks to be in a little bit of trouble trying to lay that power down.
You can see when he opens the throttle there, the rear end of the bike squatting, then the tyre lets go, and then it's all out of shape. But at the moment, holding his own in front of Sean Emmett.
Well, the remarkable thing for me about, Sean Emmett gets in a little bit dribbly.
Well, you know,
down.
Leon went in there wide, and you just automatically follow the guy in front. That's exactly what happened. But Carl Harris was the one that gained out of that situation.
The remarkable thing for me, as I was about to say, the Virgin Mobile Big Bang motor. Now, usually there's a little bit of a trade-off, a little bit, I would have said, with top-end power as far as that Big Bang's concerned, once you start altering the firing of the motor. But Rob Mack said to me weeks ago that he was confident that it hadn't knocked any top end off it, and clearly here, I mean, you don't get any faster than Thruxton.
It certainly looks that way. Top speeds have been really good for number 5 Sean Emmett on that Virgin R1 Yamaha. No problems at all with the top end speed, and they've got the best of both worlds now. They've got nice smooth drive off the turns.
Well, if you were wondering where Ryoichi Kiyanari had gone, I can tell you so's everybody else. Ryoichi Kiyanari, bike number 6, 3.3 seconds leading now. Sorry if I panicked you at home. 3.3 seconds leading from Michael Rudder in second place, who has a 4.9 second lead over Lavia. Lavia is closing in on Michael Rudder. We still have quite a lot of laps left to go, but I really don't believe it's going to be enough even for Lavia to split the 2 HM Plant Hondas at the moment, unless of course they make a mistake. Haslam is still there in 4th place, Emmett 5th, Harris in 6th place, 7th is Dean Thomas now, who's moved up in front of his teammate Glenn Richards, who is slipped behind Scott Smart, who's 8th at the moment.
Yeah, looking good on the brakes there on the Rizla Suzuki into the chicane. Glenn Richards made a brilliant start, obviously got tyre trouble or bike trouble, and he's going backwards at the moment, but Scott Smart making steady progress and finally got up to 8th position. It's not out of the question to make a bit more progress, but it's looking pretty tough.
Scott Smart is of course the thinking girl's totty. At the end of the day, he...
Is he?
Well, apparently.
But did he say that?
Fact of the matter is, he is a smart by name, a smart by nature kind of fella. He works very, very steadily at getting his motorcycle better and better and better. And of course, this is a brand new team for him. He's got to work in a brand new regime, and he's, I think, been used to having technically allowed more input into the Hawk Kawasaki when he rode for them than perhaps he will be allowed at Rizla Suzuki.
It is a transition period for Scott Smart in the Rizla Suzuki team. There's an expert in every field in that team, whereas before Scott was used to solving his own problems, and it's gradually gelling. The team's coming together. It's all new for a lot of new team members, but he'll make progress, and as you say, he's an intelligent guy and he's understanding how the team works and how the bike works, and he'll get there eventually. He's not a million miles away now.
Well, he's closing in, there's no doubt about it, on the man in front, which is Dean Thomas on bike number 12. Oh, Sean Emmett slips one up the inside. Thank you very much, I'll take that. And Leon Haslam not moved offline by too much. It was just a nice move from Sean Emmett. So Emmett gets a Virgin Mobile Yamaha in there. And, well, Emmett moves up a place into 4th place. Still won't be what he wants here, though.
No, it's going to be really sneaky little manoeuvre there, but it was a clean manoeuvre. I mean, Sean Emmett doesn't mind a dirty manoeuvre at the same time, but that particular pass was okay. Leon Haslam, you could see him exiting the chicane, spinning up that 999 Ducati.
I've got a lot of time for Sean Emmett, and I know I bang on about him being bad boy, as we did at the top of the show and so on and so forth, but really, he's 30, he must be 34 years old now, Sean. I haven't got the paperwork in front of me. You tend to give up after they get past 30 on caring how old they are, but He can ride a motorcycle. He's got a tremendous amount of talent. Last year didn't quite get on with his team boss Paul Byrne, and the Ducati was sometimes good, sometimes not so good for him last year. Here, incidentally, it was brilliant for him. He rode, apart from the faux pas he made in race 1, he rode brilliantly. You've got to say that this year his focus is superb. He's shaved his hair off. He looks aggressive off the track. He doesn't seem to be as distracted by things outside of racing at the moment.
I think he's more settled in the team. He gets on with Rob Mack and the team staff, and he's actually lifted the Virgin Yamaha team. They're a lot happier. A little bit wide there into chicane. Colin Wright, Airwaves, Ducati team manager.
That's an interesting situation. Colin Wright in the middle there, and to his right and our left was, of course, James Hayden, who is courtesy of the team doctor, sitting this one out here at Thruxton at the moment. It's an awkward situation they find themselves in. The trouble is with Lavia, he's so damn good. When you bring him in as a sub and he scores a shed load of points as he did at Brands Hatch and another shed load here at Thruxton, what do? You can't suddenly stop him. He might be the only man in the team that's going to win the championship at the end of the year.
As I said before this meeting, he could have gone away from here as championship leader, and then that would be a dilemma for the Airways Ducati team.
Well, I think it's a dilemma at any circumstances when the sub is the quickest man in the racing at the moment. And of course, we have to consider Leon Haslam had a big off yesterday as well and hurt his other wrist. He hurt one wrist at Brands Hatch in that massive high side that didn't result in a crash, but snapped a slightly damaged wrist from last year. Forced it in the direction he didn't want to go in. And yesterday they were picking the bits of grass out of the bike after he had an off yesterday too.
A bit further down the field there, Tommy Hill now up to 10th place, Sean Emmett's teammate. Kieran Clark, brilliant ride from him in the Hydrex Honda in 11th. James Buckingham still in 12th. The best privateer by a mile, and John Reynolds now up to 13th on the other Rizzler Suzuki. Yeah,
another real brave ride from John Reynolds. He don't like this place anyway. It is a very, very difficult track. I mean, I have to say, unless you've raced a motorcycle around here or even been around this place on a track day, those 3 or 4 right-handers at the top end of the track, you are just gritting your teeth, holding on with the rear end spinning away over the bumps. It is a nightmare place to get right.
It is a hideous fairground ride just waiting to go wrong, and every rider knows that.
Well, John Reynolds, of course, if you remember going back to the Chris Walker John Reynolds battles, Chris Walker tripped him up and he took to the grass at something like 130 mile an hour over the back there, I seem to remember a few years ago.
Just on the exit of Village, I believe that was. It's a bit of a jinx circuit for John Reynolds, let's face it.
But being the consummate professional that he is, he's got to grit his teeth, as we've already spoken about. He's in 13th place, which scores him some points. But you've got to say, Richie Chianari, if he scores another double today, that'll be 100 points, and that is a considerable margin to be going into round 3 at Mallory Park. 3 very difficult tracks to start the year off with. Indy Circuit at Brands Hatch, this one at Thruxton, and then Mallory Park, of course, round 3. This is your race leader, HM Plant Honda, being ridden again immaculately by Ryuichi Chianari.
Ryuichi Chianari was very average last year at the Brands Indy Circuit. He dominated there this year. He also struggled here at Thruxton last year. He's taking off again. It's incredible. Last year at Mallory, which is the next round, he was actually quite good. So you just got to think he's going to go to Mallory confident and going to go to Mallory thinking about winning more races.
Remember, this guy's taken a bit of a beating yesterday in qualifying. Slipped off at Allard Corner. Away! Looks over his shoulder, lights up the rear end. I just think he's such a natural rider.
He's just loving it. He's just enjoying it. He's so happy. He's looking round there sideways, so at one with that bike.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like the extension of his arm, isn't it, at the moment? It's just working.
Absolutely everything. He's just, that bike just looks like it's been hand-built for him, as it probably has been.
And he, yeah, indeed, 8.4 seconds in front of his teammate now, Chianari. He's not just leading, he's rubbing Michael Rutter's nose in it.
It's ridiculous. I can't believe how quick that guy is going.
Fastest lap, still Lavia on lap 4 though. They haven't gone any quicker than that lap time of 1 minute 15.699, I think it is. His time 1 minute 15.889. So I think that is a new lap record perhaps as far as these guys.
Yes.
Must be a new lap record.
15.8 is Stevie Slop's lap record.
So his lap record has gone. Sadly, Steve will be looking down on us and, well, take a minute to think of Stevie Hislop as we look at Chianari. In fact, it's not a bad analogy looking at these two.
Immaculate style, very much like Steve.
Final lap. While we have that thought, we're at the complex of Campbell and Cobb. A lot of famous names around this racetrack. Next one, of course, is Seagrave. I remember watching a programme on Seagrave. Didn't know anything about the car driver until I called that corner. You know, it's amazing what you can learn even at my age. Coming up towards Noble, the left-hand kink, and then on to Goodwood. which runs into village, which runs into church, which runs into trouble if you don't get it right. And then you're on to Woodham Hill, which of course is the long left kink towards the chicane that is the club chicane, and that's one of the Gentin racing motorcycles. So Dean Ellison perhaps, or is it Gareth Glynn?
That is Dean.
It is Gareth Glynn actually.
Yeah,
on
Dean Ellison, number 15.
Yeah, he's on the cup bike. So Dean Ellison a little bit further forward. He won't be lapped by Ryoichi Kiyanari. Comes through the club chicane for the last time in the opening race here at Thruxton. What a dominant performance, as he had at Brands Hatch. Adrian Gorst on the right of your picture there. Originally looked after Colin Edwards and their campaign in the World Superbike Championship. Neil Tuxworth, happy birthday Neil, 53 today, sitting in the middle of your picture. 1-2 for Kiyanari and Rutter. HM Plant rule Bennett's British Superbikes. Lavia finishes some 2.4 seconds down on Rutter at the end. What an effort from the Spaniard. 2.4 seconds after the amount of distance he was behind Rutter on the opening lap is incredible. Leon Haslam on the other Airwaves Ducati in 4th place. So a good result for Lavia and Haslam and the Airwaves Ducati. Sean Emmett eventually shoved out down to 5th place. Carl Harris in 6th place. Scott Smart 7th. Good ride from Scott Smart, actually, almost unsung. Scott Smart on the 88 bike there, 7th place from him. Getting in front of Dean Thomas and Glenn Richards on the Hawk Kawasaki's. Tommy Hill, another good ride from him from a lowly starting position and an even worse start. Tommy Hill coming through to get that 10th place. And then, of course, a big shout for James Buckingham, the privateer on the Key Suzuki. He has absolutely minced the rest of the privateers here. 11th place overall, but the leading Superbike Cup man. Well, as we get our breath back, number 74, Kieran Clark, fell on the last lap. So Kieran Clark fell on the last lap on the Hydrex Honda, and that really is a disappointment. I was looking forward to Kieran Clark having a great ride today, and he was having a great ride right up until the final lap. So we'll try and get a report from him if we can before we go off air, obviously. Race 1 over and done with. I've got to say, that was a very, very hectic race indeed, Neil. We'll talk about it, of course, when we come back for the break, because we are going to have a minute to get our breath back a little bit. Kiyanari then, the winner at Brands Hatch, and he's taken round 1 here at Thruxton. What a superb day for HM Plant.
This is where a mother poisoned her 6 children. Where traitors plotted their betrayal. Where a drug addict made a suicide pact. The final desperate acts of Hitler and his henchmen. Behind the historical facts lies the gripping truth. The last days of the Nazis starts tomorrow, 9 o'clock, Sky 1.
(1664), a bad year for composing, a good year for breathing. Cronenberg, 1664.
Ellie.
Hi.
What happened to your arm?
Really don't want to get into right now.
From the master of terror, Wes Craven.
Ever since the other night, things have been happening, things I can't explain. Hey, Brooke.
Something more powerful has become more terrifying than they ever imagined.
You've been cursed.
Thruxton on a windy but gloriously sunny day here, and we have just had the first Bennett's British Superbike race of the day, and you've got to say that really we're breathless because there was so much going on out there on this racetrack. Ryoichi Kiyanari, well, apart from him, he cleared off in the front by 9.6 seconds in the end from his teammate Michael Rutter. Gregorio Lavia fought his way through from a bad start from the second row of the grid, along with his teammate Leon Haslam there. They finished 3rd and 4th. Sean Emmett eventually slipping down to 5th. He really is not going to be happy with it, but it was a good ride nonetheless. Carl Harris, likewise, he slipped down the order to 6th place. Scott Smart moving up steadily, both in his confidence on the Rizla Suzuki and in his position here, of course, at Thruxton at the moment. Dean Thomas is was there in 8th place. Now then, looking at Glenn Richards, Dean Thomas's teammate, 9th. Tommy Hill moving up through the order. James Buckingham, the best of the Superbike Cup boys. Gary Mason, Steve Plater. Look at the names James Buckingham had behind him. Gary Mason on this Stobbart Honda. Steve Plater on the Sendo Kawasaki. John Reynolds, well, we know why he's there, on the Rizza Suzuki in 14th place. And the last of the point scorers in the big championship, Michael Laverty on the other Stobbart Honda. Championship standings a perfect 75. It gets no better for Ryoichi Kiyanari unless they start giving him points for fastest laps and so on and so forth. But we'll get to the Audi Quattro Performance Award in just a little while. Michael Rudder there on 53, just a point in front of Gregorio Lavia. So as we look down on the Thruxton pit lane, and we can tell you what happened with Jeremy McWilliams. Oh, that's coming out of the chicane. So obviously he's got it lit up on the way out of the chicane. Now, at that particular position, you wouldn't say that he was tripped if he was on the way out, that far out of the chicane. So Jeremy McWilliams, the MotoGP star that came here, we all thought to light the world, hasn't been able to so far after 3 races. We can go down now with James Buckingham, who's alongside Lee Mackenzie.
Thanks very much, Keith. Congratulations, James. First in the Privateers Cup, but 11th overall. You must be very pleased.
Yeah, I'm pleased. I wanted to get top 10 really, but Tommy came past towards the end, so I tagged him, but he was just riding a bit quicker. Unlucky Kieran fell off last lap. I think tyres were just gone, and got a good start. I was chasing all the top boys and just tagged onto them for about 10 laps, and they just slowly disappeared. But maybe next race, tag onto them a bit longer.
It gives you a really decent lead in this Privateers Cup because you were already leading after Brands Hatch.
Yeah, it is nice to win the Privateers, but it's also nice to beat the top boys and rub it in a bit. But
you're very determined. What's the setup like? How many people have you got working on your bike, very briefly?
About 2, I think. My dad and me, and sponsor Ian and Jamie, and yeah, that's about it. We're a small team, small budget. We haven't got a lot of money, but end of the day, when you come to race, you can only have 1 new set of tyres, and that's what counts. So.
Well done. Thanks. Let's speak to the man in 3rd place, Gregorio Lavia. Congratulations. Super sub again.
Yeah, it was good. I'm really sorry for the team because, well, the race was good, but my start was really bad. But it's a lack of experience. I mean, it's my 3rd race now with this bike, and normally we didn't practice much the starts during the race weekend, and I should do more. But anyway, I'm very happy because we worked really hard during the weekend. We were struggling a lot with the setup of the bike because I got no experience, and I just changing every practice. But at the end, yesterday afternoon I felt okay. This morning again I was a little bit not sure about the tire choice, but I think we did the best choice we can.
I noticed you've even got your own overalls now. What will happen after this? Will you be racing for the team after here at Thruxton?
Well, this is the most famous question I heard the last 2 weeks. I mean, I agree with the team to do the first 2 races, and that's what I'm here. If it's gonna change something in the future, I don't know. You should talk with the boss.
Okay, very diplomatic. Thank you very much. Michael Rutter, congratulations, a British person, a British man on the British Superbike podium.
Oh God. Yeah, it was close really. I tried to catch Keogh and I tried pulling him in, and I tried everything I could really, and I lost the front twice going through church, and it's not the place to go and lose it, and I thought, God, just got to stop on it, and you know, he just really started pulling away then, and I started slowing up a bit. When you start slowing up a bit, the rear tyre goes off a bit, so I just really just, you know, got it home and got to try and attack him for the next race.
Honda 1-2, and it's Neil Tuxworth's birthday.
Yeah, he's unbelievably so lucky, isn't he? I just wish it was me the other way around, really, but fair play to Keogh. He just I put him under a bit of pressure, and he didn't break. I'm going to have to try something else in the next race.
Yeah, well, good luck for next time. Keogh, congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
How are you feeling?
Very tired.
How's your foot?
No pain, but rest no problem because forget.
You were very quick. You passed 2 people in 1 corner. You passed Michael. Your bike looked very fast. You're obviously very comfortable on it.
My machine very fast, much power, and tire very confidence. Yeah.
And happy for the next race. Looking forward to race 2.
Yes, happy. Next race, try to my best. Yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much for the moment, Keo. Okay, well, they were the men who did it, but let's find out how they did it.
With a lot of hard work is the short answer to that, Lee, but it's also the smartest answer. So Sean Emmett got an absolute flyer off the line, but look at Carl Harris muscling the other Hondas out of the way. This Honda, though, didn't get very far at all. Jeremy McWilliams, well, uninjured, but not happy. HM Plant do get a rolling and round the outside of the Honda Racing.co.uk bike of Carl Harris. And then this move from Kianari, well, absolutely superb. Round the outside of two men at the club chicane. You wouldn't have thought it was possible. In fact, my cohort here in the commentary business didn't think it was possible. Carl Harris, likewise, was having a bit of a go at Glenn Richards. It was all happening at the chicane. Such a lot to be lost at that particular part of the track if you're unlucky. Gregorio Lavia finally muscles his way around the outside of 75 Glenn Richards and into third place. The Spaniard, absolutely superb. And he reckons he's only got to deal for 2 races. I heard differently. So, it was Kianari by a massive lead, 9.6 seconds out front, as Sean Emmett made this spectacular but safe manoeuvre on Leon Haslam in the closing stages. Over the line, Ryoichi Kianari, followed by a back marker, followed by his teammate some 10 seconds further back, Michael Rutter, and of course Gregorio Lavia. There they are, the 3 of them up on the podium with the Bennett's girls either side. And, well, a very, very satisfactory opening race for Kianari and Rutter. Rutter won't be too disappointed. The team are looking absolutely superb. The Japanese national anthem, and I have to say, Neil Mackenzie, while they squirt each other in the face with a bit of champagne, do Michael Rutter and Ryoichi Kianari look similar? One from the Black Country, one from obviously Asia. I mean, I have to say they look very similar in the face.
Black Country region of Japan, separated at birth.
Well, it's very worrying. Michael Rutter, one in the eye for him in more ways than one, of course, from his teammate Ryoichi Kianari. Lavia third, a superb opening race. Next up, though, it is the Virgin Mobile Cup, and that is going to be spectacular. Don't go away.